Hey guys, welcome to Supreme Tennis and welcome to another one of our tutorials. Today we're looking at how you can crush more forehands by taking the ball earlier as it's on the rise. But before we delve a little deeper into this one, as always, we're going to politely ask if you guys can subscribe, hit that notification bell, and maybe even throw a thumbs up if you find this type of content useful. And I'd highly recommend that you stay with us until the end of this video and learn one of the major tips that you can apply when looking to take that ball earlier. And just quickly, I want to touch on the fact that we've introduced a bit more voiceover type tutorials, such as this one right here. I thought it would definitely be worth investing in some better audio quality because of that, and I started things off with the Blue Yeti mic, which I'm currently using right now in this video. And seriously, I can't believe the difference in sound quality compared to the cheap lav mic I was using before. This microphone just feels so much more professional in my opinion, and definitely has my highest recommendation. So if you're into like voiceover type videos or commentaries, podcasts, gaming videos, etc., I'll just leave a link to this amazing product in the description below. Otherwise, just feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you guys think of the audio here in comparison to some of our previous videos. We give your comments a lot of value, and the feedback you give really does help the growth of the channel, and we're genuinely grateful for that. But anyway, back to the main purpose of this video, where we're looking to take the forehand early. So we start the session off here with some self-feeding, and this is to just help you get the correct timing. And timing is probably one of the more challenging parts to this method, and this is why we start things off in the simplest of ways. Now you'll see the way we gradually progress things here is through different variations of feeding. So now instead of the player feeding themselves in, the coach will now drop feed for the player. Again, just aiming to take the ball early and not allow it to reach the peak of its bounce. The third progression here is to have the coach throw feed the ball. And this time the player just has a bit more adjusting to do in terms of that ball coming towards them. And while everything is done here at a slow to medium pace, just try and focus on using a neutral stance. And this just helps maintain good balance and encourages you to keep your weight forwards as you take that ball earlier. A common mistake I see with players is too much leaning back on this particular type of shot. And although you can use an open or semi-open stance, which you'll actually see Abdul do a bit later in this video, a neutral stance is what we recommend the most, and definitely a good starting point when practicing this. So again here, just some throw feeding, only this time I ask Abdul to stay in front of the baseline, and imagine he is literally on the end of a cliff. I just wanted to reinforce the idea of good balance and weight moving forwards into the shot. Too often the immediate reaction off a deep ball is to back off and have your weight moving towards the fence behind you. This drill here just forces you to do the exact opposite. So as we move on here, again we vary the feeding and make things more challenging for the player. This time we add some lateral movement to make things a bit more realistic. So as you can see here, we incorporate both left and right movement, again while trying to maintain that balance when using the forehand off a rising ball. In this next drill we look at going forwards. So we've looked at lateral movement, now we're looking at going forwards, and this is especially useful when you get that shorter ball and look to hit an approach shot, let's say. As you can see here, Abdul gets his racket ready in preparation early, and he uses the momentum of his movement going forwards to make for a heavier shot. This momentum is only going to enable him to generate more power on his forehand. So we just have a few more progressions here, and now the coach will look to feed from the opposite side of the court. And as you can see, we first start off with a double bounce. Again, just a drill to help with the timing, and actually a very effective one that I strongly suggest that you try. And then just continuing with the racket feeding, we obviously then repeat the same after one bounce. And you can actually see how well Abdul is timing the shot. I would say that maybe some of these did get up a little high, but I was definitely happy with the majority of them, and you can see how much pace he is able to produce when the timing's correct. We haven't really spoken about why one would even look to take the ball on the rise. Well, there's quite a few different reasons, but there's definitely two main ones. The first being that you don't give up a lot of court space. You're able to stand your ground on the baseline, keep an offensive position, and prevent openings for angles and even drop shots. Now, the other reason and very useful advantage to striking the ball on the rise is that you take time away from your opponent, and often this forces them out of their comfort zone. And the likes of Novak Djokovic and Andre Agassi in his day are just great examples of this. We then wrapped up the session with a few points with myself at the net. Abdul's aim was of course to practice taking the ball early when the opportunity presented itself, and he found he actually had a lot of success. Now, at the start of this video I did say I had one major tip to apply. That was a lie, I actually have two. Firstly, it's imperative that you keep your head still through contact. Very often the tendency is to lift your head as you accelerate. This disrupts your balance and makes it even more difficult to find the sweet spot. When the ball is rising, it's traveling faster than it would if you were to let the ball drop. So to time it better and avoid shanking the ball with the frame, keep your head very still and aim to see the ball on the strings as you make contact. And this will just help keep your head down and keep you more balanced through the shot. Now, the last tip is to not overuse this way of hitting the ball. With the benefits of taking the ball early, there is the slight downfall that it does carry more risk than usual. Now, of course, the more you practice it, the better you will get. But as we all know, shot selection in tennis is very important. So play smart and wait for the right opportunities.